Ray Wang, principal analyst and founder at Constellation Research, joins us for a closer look at this. Ray, first of all, how big a threat does DeepSeek pose to America's tech industry? I mean, it has almost all the features and functions of the programs that we're seeing like OpenAI, but a fraction of the cost. And what does the emergence of DeepSeek, which has even won praise from the U.S. tech industry, what does it say about America's AI tech? Has it been overspending and under-delivering?
It's a great question. At this moment, it looks like a massive threat. Here is a cost advantage that we haven't seen. It's something we call exponential efficiency. And at 6 million versus hundreds of billions of dollars, it looks like they found a crack into this. But the short answer is it's not that easy to do. And what you're going to see is it doesn't necessarily solve all your problems, but we now know that there's a way to deliver AI at a fraction of the cost and the ability to do that with open source models. And that's what we're all hoping for in the AI world, because unlike the internet, right now AI is closed, it's centralized, it's expensive, and there are few players. And if we were trying to get an internet level explosion, you need decentralized, open, you need cheaper and a lot more players to be able to be in this model. And so what they've shown is that this is possible. But the challenge is AI isn't that easy. And so, yes, you might be able to solve that model in this manner, but it's going to take a while to get the refinements as well. So there's a lot more to do to get to AGI. But this is a very interesting thing in terms of rattling markets by saying, is the US spending too much? Are we spending too much on data? Can we do this with less energy? And that's the right question to ask, because we want to see technology costs come down over time.
Yeah, before we get into the democratizing of the technology, let's talk about DeepSeek's progress, which suggests that, those Chinese engineers, they've been able to work around the export ban slapped on by the previous administration. And even, what does it then say about the efficacy of those Biden-era measures to limit U.S. tech exports, to curb its tech advancements, whether we could see further limitation? Could they perhaps change their approach instead?
Well, innovation is the mother necessity, right? If you're being limited with the chips you have and you have to solve the same problems, you're going to get really good at trying to figure out workarounds. And I think this is, one of those situations where the ban actually created the innovation and it gave people the impetus to create that innovation. But is the ban effective? Is the ban useful? I mean, it's very hard to keep technology out of the hands of competitors in general. And so there's going to be a rethink in the ban. I think there's going to be another review on the US side, of course, in terms of U.S. versus China and what technology leakage is going to occur or not occur in this relationship. This is very important, right? And the second piece is the fact that in China has an advantage in AI that people don't talk about. It has the energy capacity that the U.S. doesn't necessarily have readily available. We're talking about thousands of gigawatts of coal-fired plants. We've got small modular nuclear reactors, and we've got nuclear reactors and hydro that are coming online, which makes China probably the lowest cost producer of electricity in the future.
Right. What does it mean for U.S. big tech then? NVIDIA, that's been, the biggest beneficiary of huge AI spending. But do you expect that investors now could be more wary of rewarding companies that aren't showing a sufficient return on investment? And now that it's been proven that you can, in fact, do more with less, and how could that derail, the investment case for the AI supply chain?
I think in the short term, this is going to be a temporary blip where people say, can we do more with less? Once the use cases are put out, once the facts are shown, you're going to find out that this isn't as simple as it was, but it did rattle the markets. There's a lot of work that's required to actually bring AI to market, and it's not something you could do overnight. But it also puts a lot of pressure on the big tech companies to show, can they deliver this cost effectively to every single customer, every single user that's out there? And so both questions will be asked. You'll see a slowing trajectory, but there's still going to be massive investment, because this is just like in the early days of the internet. We don't know who the winners are going to be, and we don't know exactly what the use cases that are going to be won, but we do know that an infrastructure has to be built. If we looked at the telecom companies that were done during the internet age, they didn't fare very well, but then you got to the rise of the Googles, and you found a Microsoft that ended up being on top somehow, and of course, Amazon and other companies emerged out of this, chaos of the 2000s. The same thing is happening here as we try to figure out who the winners are.
Right. And I'd like to also know whether we could see with DeepSeek now firmly in the picture, whether we could see the emergence of more of such Chinese AI firms. I mean, you talked about China they have this advantage, which is the energy capacity. I'm sure there are many other AI names out there. And the fact that, DeepSeek is able to price its models at some 40 times lower than OpenAI's comparable models. I mean, how do you think this could dramatically bring down pricing and also increase accessibility to the technology?
Well, that's the interesting thing, right? In China, ByteDance is competing heavily with DeepSeek for that AI dominance. Alibaba still a player in the background because they have the cloud capacity. In the US, there are interesting companies. There are startups like Samba Nova Systems that can deliver 1 trillion the parameters for 1/10 the cost. So we're starting to see that happen also in the US as well. It's just not in the big names that people know today. You're going to see more and more of these capabilities being delivered. So it's good to see that the cost of AI is going to come down over time for everybody, but there's still a lot of work if you're trying to get to, general artificial intelligence, which is going to be different as opposed to what everyone else is trying to get to.
All right, Ray.
Now, for
Many thanks.
democratization, you're completely right. So there are lots of opportunities for democratization because what we will have is a big AI divide between countries that can deliver AI cost effectively and countries that cannot. And I think that's the important piece because right now that divide is huge in terms of the capital expense that countries will have to put together to be able to deliver sovereign AI models just to get started.
All right, Ray. I really appreciate your insights and many thanks for joining us this morning. Ray Wang, there, principal analyst and founder at Constellation Research.